Welcome to the section Setting Custom Configuration. The first video of this section is Preventing Vulnerabilities by Adding Security. Security is a very complex topic that shouldn't be regarded as added fast to a Spring Boot project. Two core aspects are authentication and authorization. To understand the fundamentals, Spring Security uses the following main parts to realize authentication and authorization. The security context holder realizes the access to the security context. The security context contains the authentication instance as well as request-specific informations. Authentication represents a successfully authenticated principal. One or more granted authority instances describe the rights of an authentication, and an instance of user details service provides an interface to identify the user details by using a username or certificate. Spring Security enables authentication by using the following technologies, which are part of Spring Security or which are provided by third-party vendors. Authorization is regarded as a cross-sectional aspect of an application. Within the code, explicit queries whether an action is allowed or not should be avoided. Spring Security's integration with Spring MVC is based on the Servlet standard, with regard to the filling of the security context holder as well as the authorization of HTTP requests. There is no distinction between client types. Spring Security's content negotiation strategy decides whether HTTP basic or a form login is offered. We have created a new application with the starters ThymeLeaf, Web, and Security. We have also generated a landing page called index.html as well as a login website. Under the directory user, we put a secured HTML file that can only be accessed when you log into the application. First, we take a look at our POM file. Although we have added the starters Web, ThymeLeaf, and Security, we have to add a dependency manually. We have to add the ThymeLeaf extra security starter. The current version of it is 5. We need this starter to query the authorities in the ThymeLeaf web page. Now let's take a look at the landing page. You see here that we added the namespace to the HTTPS namespace of ThymeLeaf, as well as a namespace to the ThymeLeaf security extras. Under this namespace, we have some more attributes regarding security issues. Here you see that this div is marked as a fragment tag with the name logout. This is only shown when we are logged into the web application with this tag attribute SecAuthorize and is authenticated. This form is used when we want to log out from the web app. Now let's take a look at the index file under the user directory. This tag attribute th substitute by is used to replace this div tag with a div fragment from the main index.html file and the fragment logout. This login.html file shows the form login of the web application. This paragraph is only shown when the parameter login error is set by the model. Otherwise, this form hints to the path login with username and password set. This main controller class is our controller class that handles the incoming requests. The root path method redirects to the index path, and that simply returns the main index file. The request to user index returns the index file under the user directory. And login returns the login file. The method that handles the request path login error sets the parameter login error to true and returns the login file again. What we now do is we implement the web security class. For this purpose, I have added a class webconfig that extends the web security configurer adapter class. With configure global, we implement a memory user with the username user and the password, and we set the role to user. You see that with default password encoder is deprecated. For demonstration purposes, it is okay to use it, but in production, you shouldn't use it anymore. We have to override the configure method because otherwise we don't get access to our web application anymore. Everything is blocked and we are redirected to the Spring Boot default login page. With our personalized security filter chain, we can determine what pages are accessible for all or for certain roles and what login page is used. In this method, we implement a security filter chain. So, the HTTP security parameter HTTP must authorize any requests, whereas the end matcher permits all access to the main index file. And the request paths to the user directory must have the role user. And the form login page is our login file. And the failure URL hints to the path login error. And now let's run our application. So we see here that the Tomcat container is listening on port 8080 again. And we call our landing page. That's fine. And now we go to the secured page. First, we want to set a wrong user and password. And you see that this paragraph wrong user or password is set. And now let's take the correct user and password. And you see above the logged in user with his role.